Okay, we're just gonna keep it going. Okay. This is this this is not 5 minutes. This is intern inspiration.
The 5-minute podcast.
To 10-minute, depending how long. Starting. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the inspiration that we draw from our lives. One thing I wrote about, and one thing that I think is a really firm foundation of my inspiration, is the people around me. I think the entire basis of human connection can draw such an elaborate story that digs and pulls different stuff out of us that inspires to create. I think human connection and human experience, not just consumption though. Like I feel like human face-to-face inspiration or like face-to-face connection is completely different than any sort of consumption that you may get from like a social media platform. I feel like so many people say they draw inspiration from like social media, like I want to be this person, I want to do this, but so much of that time is invested in literally just mindlessly scrolling. There's no thought, there's no observation included in that. And when it comes to inspiration on that stuff, like of course there are like certain things on social media that you could derive inspiration of, like different creators, art, reading. But the difference between that and like mindlessly scrolling is obviously like it provokes the thought, you know, it makes you think, it makes you try to observe the emotion that it's trying to communicate. If you use an example of like, I don't know, an art piece, no, actually we'll go back. Or if you use an example of like, we'll use Yes Theory.
Yeah.
They do a really great job at using filmography and documenting the specific human connection and making you think and making you question throughout the video, because it's something so new and it just makes you think about like more than just what's kind of surrounding you, or just like, oh, I'm watching a video. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think human connection just in general, I think it's even better if you can get the human connection just like talking about something. I feel like when people express their thoughts, it really just like
provokes it in your mind too.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of draw inspiration from what other people are saying, but also tailor it more towards your own life.
Exactly. 3 minutes in. Okay, we'll keep going.
Keep going.
If we further elaborate into different forms of consumption, reading. I think reading's another really great form of inspiration and learning, especially just because it's like, if you're trying to learn more about your interests and you're really trying to connect to something else and like learn from it, I think reading, because you internalize the reading unless you like read aloud, but you're still processing that on your own whilst it's in front of you. And I think that gives you more time to think and like process things that even conversations sometimes can.
Right.
But and this is a long topic. But like when I read, depending on the stuff like I read, like I enjoy reading things that I'm interested in or things that I don't know about. I think when I read about different things that I may not know about or I may not understand, I feel like that wonder, that unknowingness creates a different form of observation opposed to something that I may just watch for entertainment or I read for entertainment. I think there's a difference between just like, there really is just such a big difference between just like mindlessly observing and like then actually trying to like understand the communicated thing from it.
Or the difference between reading for inspiration and reading for fun. Like if you're reading a book, it's like cheesy romance book, it's going to be different than if you're reading a self-help book. Mm-hmm. So it's all in like the context in which your mindset is tailored to why you're reading or why you're watching that video.
Yeah. Or like same thing with social media, reading, of course. Even just like you reflecting like what you do know and just kind of like splurging out your own emotions of like how you feel, even like unconsciously doing it, like writing, you know, like journaling, that can even invoke inspiration and draw just like so many different thoughts than you thought you had before, just because now you have a bigger understanding on it, so you can inspire yourself, because then you can grow off of that. What was the other one? Art. People a lot of thoughts when you think of inspiration or creation or any sort of like photography and stuff. It is art, and art, if you go look at like paintings or sculptures and stuff, I think that, along with music, I think music is also another great form of art that inspires, but that's because the whole purpose of art is to invoke and communicate a certain emotion or story. And I think any sort of form of storytelling, which can be from people, obviously social media, we brought that up, but like that invokement of emotion and like thought in different words, and like why an artist did something, the meaning behind things, the real meaning behind things. If you learn how to like really like pick that up and learn, I think you can really use that and draw like different aspects of like, oh man, I really like how this art piece communicated this emotion, but then I also really like the storytelling that I found on social media. But then also with music, I think it added to the storytelling in the videos that I may watch on social media. And I think you can kind of combine things into something even greater. But when it comes to photography, for me at least, the things that happen around me, I think brings up the most inspiration, because you can sit there and you can observe like what's really going on around everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so like I have so much stuff going on in my life that like I'm so absolutely blessed to have all of that going on in my life, and I have the opportunities to like communicate it with different people. But like the difference from like kind of like mindlessly going through life is that like you can stop and really focus on things, and like focus on the details that are around you. And when you stop and focus on them, even when it's like photography, you can really like capture something meaningful. You can capture one specific detail or one specific emotion that comes from all around you. And that's why I think the connection part is such a huge play in it. But you can also do it alone. Like I know a lot of times where I go and like I'll go on like a photography excursion, and I'll just go and take pictures, you know. But like it's the things around me, it's the details around me. It's just like life itself. That's why I really like calling it like capturing the human experience, because it's just it really is. It's just like emotions, you know.
I think you
how
can
to communicate the story.
Inspired by things that you don't even know, or things that just happen in your everyday life. Like I know for me, I'll be listening to a song, and at first it just starts off as like a regular song, like just enjoy listening to it. It has a cool beat, has a cool tone, but then like you dig deeper into the lyrics and you're like, wow, these are actually like pretty motivating. And then you just found a whole new set of inspiration from something that just started in your life regularly.
Yeah, I agree. That brings us to our 8-minute mark. This is intern inspiration. As 2 interns.
2 interns.
Sit and talk about inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,